Breaking news, the No Kings Day protests that are being held right now, as I'm filming this video in close to 3,000 American cities, is already one of the largest protests in American history, and according to a handful of analysts, could end up being the largest in American history. For instance, as I'm filming this video, event organizers have already confirmed that there is over 200,000 people in attendance at the protests in Washington, D.C. This makes it the largest protest in D.C. under the Trump era, and one of the largest, top 5 in the history of our capital's existence. Just to give you some perspective, No Kings Day 1.0 is widely considered to be the third largest protest in this country's history. And during No Kings Day 1.0, there was 100,000 people in attendance in DC, and that was the final tally once the protest was over. Today, the event's not over, and organizers have already confirmed, as I already pointed out, that there are over 200,000 people in attendance. If you're able to and you haven't yet, make sure to get involved with your local protests, which you could find by visiting nokings.org.
On October 18th, we rise! We rise against fascism, against kings, and against authoritarian rule. A president who turns the military on their own citizens is not a leader, but a tyrant.
And history has shown us what silence brings.
Now is the time to speak, to stand, to resist, before the right to speak is gone.
Hi guys, my name is Messi and you're welcome back to my channel. You see, what's happening in the streets, No Kings protest, isn't just another viral movement. It's a message, a loud one. People are tired of being told who to bow to, tired of being treated like their voices don't matter. On October 18th, the street doesn't belong to the crown. They belong to the people. When people say no kings, they are not just talking about a person sitting on a throne. They are rejecting the whole system that lets a few rule over many. They are rejecting that idea that power should be inherited, not earned. And when you see young people, workers, and even older citizens working together, chanting for change, it tells you something big is shifting. But of course, the media tried to twist it, calling them unruly, disrespectful, unpatriotic. Yes, what's truly disrespectful is forcing people to live under symbols of oppression while pretending it's tradition. What's truly unpatriotic is silencing your citizens when they finally decide to speak. So guys, I will leave you guys to see the reactions of people who will come back to talk about it. So guys, if this is your first time of coming across my videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to help the channel out. And don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comment section.
Well, we sure triggered some rednecks today. Yeah, we did. Blount County, Tennessee, the reddest area you can imagine. And we had over 1,000 people show up for the No Kings March. There were people of all ages and all colors and all backgrounds, but we had one thing in common. We want to fight against this authoritarian regime that is trying to destroy our democracy.
A sea of protesters, what organizers say totaled up to 5,000, gathered in downtown Savannah Saturday, voicing frustration with the Trump administration. From passionate speeches,
"Let this rally be more than just a protest,"
to chants,
Let's turn up the heat!
demonstrators marched from Emmett Park to City Hall, determined to make their voices heard.
We stand for democracy, we stand for love. We do not stand for what Trump has been spewing out to the public.
Today, we witness something history will remember. No Kings Day, a global movement from Tokyo to Berlin, from New York to Lagos, where over 5 million people filled the streets. More than 2,000 cities and towns joined across America, and countless others around the world. They stood together with one message: we will not be ruled. We don't want a king, not a dictator, not an emperor, not a puppet of power dressed as democracy. We want freedom, collective, shared, equal freedom. What we saw today was more powerful than any army, more powerful than ICE agents, more powerful than any administration, because when the people move in unison, they become the system. And that is what terrifies those who try to control us. Imagine if those millions of people stop feeding the machine that oppresses them. Imagine if we stop buying from Amazon, Walmart, and Target. If we stop consuming propaganda from the same media companies that distort our truth. Imagine if, for just one day, we turned it all off and turned on each other. That kind of unity would collapse an empire. Today wasn't about violence, it was about vision. A vision of a world without kings, without rulers who exploit the people and call it order. Because power only exists when people agree to obey. And today, we disagreed. Even reporters at the Pentagon, yes, the Pentagon, walked out, refusing to conform to the administration's new demands for silence and compliance. That moment alone proved that courage isn't always in protest signs or megaphones. Sometimes it's in walking away. What No King's Day revealed is that humanity still has a pulse. We are not divided by nations. We are united by truth. We are not enemies. We are neighbors in resistance. And together, we declare there will be no king here. Not in America, not in this century, not ever again. History will look back on this day, not as a riot, not as a rebellion, but as a rebirth. The day millions remembered their power. The day the world finally said, no more crowns, no more puppets, no more kings, because the people are the power.
Wait a minute, the Trump administration just randomly decided to launch live missiles from a Navy warship into California as a show of force during the No Kings protest? What a coincidence that they are just now finalizing the plans for 2 days of activities at Camp Pendleton to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps, right after the No Kings protest organizers announced that they're expecting one of the largest turnouts in U.S. protest history. This was done with almost no notice and no coordination with local authorities. Oh, and they're going to shut down portions of I-5 and have a parade led by none other than part-time author, full-time couch lover, and Vice President J.D. Vance. Meanwhile, the Republicans still have the federal government shut down because we don't have money for health care for Americans. And because of that shutdown, essential workers are having to take time off in order to take gig work to make ends meet. Military families are lining up at food banks. But we do have the money to have a military show of force and extravaganza for J.D. Vance and shut down one of the major corridors and cause massive gridlock.
They said nearly 7 million people attended the No Kings rally worldwide and 200K in DC alone. Yeah, motherfuckers showed up and showed out worldwide. Ain't nobody playing with you, Dookie. We don't want you or any of your shitheads in office. Yeah, they shitheads because they all got their heads up your ass and your ass is shitty. So we need you and all your shitheads to pack it up and get the fuck up out of office. That's what we need y'all to do. The people have spoken. And we need y'all to get to stepping. All you Republicans, y'all all about to get voted out. I can't wait for the midterms. If motherfuckers can't shut shit down by not showing up for work, I can't wait for the midterms because we gonna get y'all out of there. We know y'all gonna try this bullshit with the gerrymandering and all that, but we gonna find a way because the gloves is off. We not playing with y'all no more. We not playing fair. We not playing by the rules. We gonna play by the same rules that y'all playing by. That's what we about to do. And they were talking all that shit about how it's gonna be violence and it was terrorists and Hamas supporters, all these crazy motherfuckers that was gonna be showing up to the protest, and all the protests been peaceful. They even reported out there in New York that they have 0 arrests reported out there in New York. And I haven't seen anything about any other arrests anywhere else pertaining to the protests. So it looked like it's been completely peaceful so far. So all that bullshit y'all was talking about how it was going to be all this chaos and y'all needed the National Guard, Abbott, Hot Wheels calling in the motherfucking National Guard. You and that other motherfucker, I don't even know his name. Wasting people's time and wasting taxpayer money. Y'all wouldn't do this any other time. So that's all y'all did was just waste taxpayer money like y'all always do. But shout out to everybody who showed up and showed out. I was not at any protest today. I am part of the 92%, and I had my feet up, rubbing them together, watching everybody proudly. So proud of everybody who showed up to the No Kings rally today. Y'all did y'all big one.
Y'all, I was thinking about the No Kings yesterday, and one of my friends asked me a question: how could there be so much support against him and for Kamala, and yet he won? And I think that it says a lot about the power of the Republican media, how they are positioning his win as a mandate and like he had this super majority or something, and he did not. And of course, Kamala had 70-something million voters, right? So of course there's a lot of support for her, and we know that 90 million people didn't show up, and that's a lot of people as well. And there are people who are playing down the significance of the second No Kings Day march, and I get it, because marching isn't voting, and parade crowds don't turn into taking over congressional districts and things like that. However, I would just like to say that sometimes, if I use a sports analogy, sometimes your team is crappy. You could have a bad sports team, and you could have a good game. And when you have that good game, it's okay to acknowledge that this was a good game. And sometimes it's not even a whole good game. Sometimes your crappy kicker has a good game, or your terrible quarterback has a good game, or your terrible defense has a good game. It could just be parts like that. And then after the game, your coach, you don't want your coach to say, yeah, you're a crappy team and none of that matters. You want them to have some encouraging words and say, look, yes, we're struggling this season. And yes, we've lost a lot of games, but today we saw some indications that some of the things that we're doing are starting to work and making sense. And it's okay to have that moment of pre-celebration, levity, whatever you want to call it, and still recognize the season isn't over. And if you look at the presidential calendar, the midterms are just the midterms, the mid part of the season. And yeah, the Democrats have taken hits because we lost the election. But you know what? We're 10 months into this thing. The midterms are next year, and every little tiny win, no matter how significant or insignificant it may seem, it does matter and it builds to something. And so, yeah, No Kings Day does not get him out of office. It doesn't get the Epstein files released. It didn't open government. And it's not going to stop people disappearing. However, what it does is let all the rest of us know that we're not in this fight alone, that there are tens of millions of us, and despite legacy media burying our information across social media and the news, we are out there, right? And we're out here, and we're on here, and we're letting people know that, you know what, in 2026, we're going to be heard, and we're going to be heard every day leading up to 2026 in some form or some fashion. And so I respect people who say that yesterday isn't a vote, and that we could do better at the polls, and maybe let this be a start, and 2026 we take over.
Monarchy, in whatever form, is not just about tradition. It's a reminder of inequalities dressed in ceremony. It's about wealth built on a back of people who never got a choice. And yet, when citizens demand fairness, they are called radical. They tell us monarchy is harmless, just symbolic, but symbolism matters. When you glorify crown while people sleep hungry, that's not harmless. That's hypocrisy. It tells the poor to be quiet and clap for their masters. And I know some people will say, but it's our culture, it's our history. Sure, but history should teach us to do better, not to repeat systems that keep us small.